So in this video, we're going to be talking about the Catholic Church in the UK and how Cardinal Vincent Nichols was criticised over his leadership because it is said by the Independent Inquiry into Child Abuse has said that he put the reputation of the church above above the victims, meaning that he, instead of protecting victims and actually looking into cases of potential child abuse by members of the church, he decided to cover these things up so that the church's reputation would not be damaged. At the time, obviously, as soon as these things come out, you realise that what's happened. Obviously, you've got pedophiles, serial pedophiles within the church, and also you find out the church has covered these things up, which makes it doubly bad for the church. So that's why you should be honest if your organization has problems, especially problems as bad as these. So if we look at the article here, the head of the Roman Catholic Church in England and Wales has at times shown he cares more about the impact of abuse on the church's reputation than on victims. The report said the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse criticised the leadership of the Archbishop of Westminster, Cardinal Vincent Nichols, and the Vatican. The Cardinal said the church was deeply sorry for what's happened. Sorry guys, we're sorry for what's happened. That's not good enough. The Cardinal said the church was just said that. The lawyer representing survivors said that the Cardinal must go right. Well, absolutely, he should. He should, because he's involved in these cover-ups. Cardinal Nichols told the BBC he had offered to resign on Sunday upon turning 75, as is church law when the bishop reaches this age. But this was rejected by the Vatican, and this is where it gets worse. It gets not worse. It gets bad. Again, it gets worse in a different way, let's just say. He said, I offered my resignation to the Pope. His answer came back very clear and very unambiguous. He wants me to stay in the post, so I will stay because that's where my orders come from. That's where my mandate comes from. He wants me to stay. I'm going to stay and continue my work wholeheartedly on this matter. So the guy who failed initially, right, who failed children, who covered up for these predators, is going to keep his job. And he's going to apparently help to resolve these problems. What is it? Is it stupid? You should get someone in who's going to deal with this stuff properly. But no, they're going to let this old man keep his job. Absolute shambles, the Catholic churches. The inquiry found between 1970 and 2015 the church received more than 3,000 complaints of child sexual abuse against more than 900 individuals connected to the church. These complaints involved more than 1,750 victims and complainants. Though the report said the true scale of abuse was much higher and will likely never be known because the church might not tell us the full numbers without more independent inquiries into this, especially in those days where less records are kept. People have died since then, and so what that means is that information's died with them. They've taken it to the grave. It was far more from a solely historical issue. The inquiry found, adding that more than 100 allegations of abuse had been reported each year since 2016, so more and more victims are coming forward. The Catholic Church's explicit moral purpose has been betrayed by those who sexually abuse children and by those who turned a blind eye and failed to take action against perpetrators. But the Catholic Church has been like this for a long time. It's been like this for a long time. Why haven't you done anything? Slow to react. We'll talk about that in a second, some of the findings in the report. It said the Cardinal who apologised for the Church's actions when he gave evidence did not always exercise leadership expected of a senior member of the Church, which means that he wasn't good enough in his role, which means he should have gone. He should have gone a long time ago, at times preparing to protect the reputation of the Roman Catholic Church in England and Wales and in Rome. It added that Cardinal Nichols had shown no acknowledgement of any personal responsibility to lead or influence change, nor did he demonstrate compassion towards the victims in recent cases which we examined. So this guy who's going to be kept in his position has shown no acknowledgement of any personal responsibility. So how do you expect him to do his job properly? The only reason I can assume is the Pope has kept him in place because this guy is not going to rock the boat, and he's not going to talk to the police about any victims or alleged crimes that happen within the church. That's the only reason why the Pope would keep him. Especially when my man's 75, he's an old man. Let someone come in. Someone who can actually deal with this. Someone who wants to deal with this within the church, who cares about the church's reputation, who cares about victims. But no, you're going to keep this old fart in. The report said that 2 previous inquiries into abuse by the church by Lord Nolan in 2001 and Lady Cumberledge in 2007 had brought change and improvements, but their recommendations had been implemented too slowly and not in full. So that means is they haven't really done what these reports have asked for, because they're taking too long and have not been implemented in full. So what we know is they've taken a long time to do these things, and some of these will be half measures. So what that means is they haven't actually listened to those previous reports, that they don't actually care about victims. In 2016, it was highlighted in internal correspondence between members of the Diocese of Westminster Safeguarding Commission, described a victim of sexual abuse as manipulative and needy, and that's probably what the pedophile that did this, who hurt this victim, said, that she was manipulative and needy. That's why I did what I did, and blaming the victim here. That's what these people do, and that's why in correspondence, that's why you've got this message has gone higher up above this single pedophile. And into the church, where they went investigate certain things, of like, oh, it's the victim, she was manipulative, she's lying, or he's lying. It's embarrassing. The report states real and lasting changes to attitudes have gone some way to go. Real and lasting changes to attitudes have some way to go if the Roman Church is to shake off the failures of the past. The thing is, they don't care. They don't care. One of the repeated failures highlighted in the this is the report I mentioned earlier, the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse report, was the case of Father James Robinson, a serial pedophile who was moved to another parish within the Archdiocese, I don't know how to pronounce it, I think I say pronounce it, of Birmingham, after complaints were made in the 1980s. So they kept moving this guy. That's what they did. They moved this guy whenever he did anything. So that way, he goes to a new church, new victims, and that way his crime is covered up. Until the victims come forward and talk to police or family members, who then talk to press or the police. That's what the church did. He later fled to the US, but was extradited back, where he was convicted in 2010 of 21 sexual offences against 4 boys and jailed for 21 years. So imagine, right, the first time they hear about this, you save people from potentially being victimised repeatedly, and also from new victims happening, because you've dealt with this in the first place. But no. The church decided to cover up. 5 people connected to the school have been convicted or cautioned in relation to offences involving child sexual activity with a large number of children, or offences concerning pornography. The report said it's just. One of them was Father Piers Grant Ferris, who was moved to at least 6 other parishes after allegations of abuse came to light in 1975. He was convicted against 15 boys in 2006. Like, some of these are historic cases, but this man has shown no leadership in his role. He's shown no leadership in his role, and that's the point. Nothing will change because this man is still here. The inquiry also criticised the Vatican, describing its actions as indirect contrast with Pope Francis' public statement. And you know what? Pope Francis can make all the public statements he wants, but by keeping clowns like this in place, you're not going to resolve anything. In 2019, the Pope called for concrete and effective actions that involve everyone in the church. The Holy See did not just provide a statement into the inquiry, and the ambassador at the time refused to give evidence. The report said, in responding in this way, the Holy See stance was contrary to the are you surprised by this? He says one thing in public, but when it comes to talking to inquiries and investigators, he's gonna stonewall them. Because he doesn't care. The Pope doesn't care. None of these people care. He added, its response manifestly did not demonstrate a commitment to taking action, because they're not going to take action, because in their heads it's easier just to cover these things up. Because the way I would see it is, we may not know how many cases. There could be, I think they said something about 1,700 cases. It could be way more than that, and that way, by covering it up, you hide so many of these higher numbers that could be there, and that's the only reason why the church continues to cover this up, because we may have hit the tip of the iceberg. Honestly, that's my speculation, but that's what it seems to be like. Richard Scorer, specialist abuse lawyer at Slater and Gordon, who represents 32 survivors in IICSA, said, this is an absolutely damning report. It highlights the shocking scale of abuse, the disgraceful slowness of the church's response, and the abject failures of leadership by Cardinal Nichols, and the Vatican's appalling refusal to cooperate properly with the inquiry, because a lot of these guys are friends. They don't want their friends to go down. They don't care if they're pedophiles. They don't. What more do you want me to tell you? I continued, I'm not here to defend myself, so here's this. Cardinal Nichols told the BBC, the things in this report are in the public sphere, and I'm sure they have been taken into account, but response I've got is unambiguous. It is to stay I will, and stay I will. Like, why are you staying in this role where you have failed your job? These guys are shameless. He continued, I'm not here to defend myself. I'm here to say we accept this report. We are grateful to the IICSA for bringing light and giving public space to those who have been abused. We are deeply sorry sorry this happened. Today is more about me saying again on behalf of everybody in the Catholic Church how deeply regretful and sorry I am that anybody suffered, and that so many suffered is a terrible shame with which I must live and which I must learn from, making it about himself. And the thing is, if you did live and learn, you'd be telling the Pope to stop stonewalling these investigations. But I bet you haven't, though. Bet you haven't. We go on. Here's an interview that the Cardinal Nichols did with Sky.
This doesn't make easy reading for you, does it? You are singled out personally. It says that Cardinal Nichols has shown that he cares more about the impact of child sex abuse on the Catholic Church's reputation than on victims and survivors. What's your response?
Well, no, it's very uncomfortable for me, but even more uncomfortable, I think, for many, many survivors of child sexual abuse. The damage done, which I struggle to understand, and I think I do, lasts a lifetime. And a day like today will bring to the fore all of that pain and all of that suffering again. So, most of all, I want to say to anybody who has had that dreadful experience in the past, I am sorry. I am really, really mortified that this happened in the context of the Catholic Church and over this period of 50 years. And I want to promise you that we will again do every single thing in our power to get our response right.
So you can start by telling the Pope to stop stonewalling investigations. You're gonna tell him, big man. You're gonna tell him. Anyways, this is the full report here. I'll link this below in the description if anyone wants to read it. There's this article here saying the Church of England's £200 million compensation scheme will pay out victims of historic sex abuse by bishops and clergy. So if anyone's watching this, if you were a victim of members of the church, get your story heard. And the compensation hopefully is there if you need it. Use it for whatever you want in life, whether that's therapy or just to live. That's up to you. I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life, but hopefully you get your story heard, and the people who have committed these actions, hopefully they're punished. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Let me know what you guys think below in the comments. Should this guy really still be in his job? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.